Hello and welcome. You're watching India Today Explains. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. And over the next 30 minutes, I'll run you through the big stories of the week and what they're all about. A quick glimpse first of what's coming your way. Amid the RSS's centenary celebrations, we take a look at all the controversy seeking a ban on the organization and whether government servants are indeed banned from participating in RSS activities, considering the political storm that's kicked off in Karnataka. Also on the show, Delhi pollution is back. One of the weapons this time to combat the smog is artificial rain. How does cloud seeding work and has it ever been done in India? I'll tell you all about that. We'll also tell you about the rather public Sanjay Kapoor inheritance feud that's playing out and why his kids are contesting his will. Also on the show, Saudi Arabia has banned the Kafala system, essentially modern slavery, and millions of Indians will benefit from this move. And finally on the show, the daring Louvre heist in broad daylight that shocked the world. We'll tell you how the thieves actually pulled it off and why there was one particular Indian diamond that they didn't steal. The Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is marking its 100th year, but also is in the eye of a storm, particularly in Karnataka. There's a demand for a ban on RSS activities in educational institutions and also a Panchayat Development Officer who was suspended for participating in an RSS route march on October 12th. The move has triggered a confrontation between the BJP and the Congress-led Karnataka government, raising questions about whether government employees can actually take part in such events and the rules that govern the RSS across states. So we break that down for you. Historically, restrictions on government employees participating in RSS activities have varied by state. In 1966, the Ministry of Home Affairs barred government servants from engaging in RSS and Jamaat-e-Islami activities, with violations attracting disciplinary action under the Central Civil Services Conduct Rules of 1964. This directive was reaffirmed in 1970, then again in 1980. Then in 2006, the Madhya Pradesh government lifted that ban, calling the RSS a cultural, not political organization. Himachal Pradesh followed suit. Later, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan lifted similar bans in 2015 and 2021 respectively. And then in 2024, July 9th to be precise, the centre officially withdrew the decades-old restriction, removing references to the RSS from the 1966, 1970 and 1980 orders. However, some states have not accepted the centre's decision. Karnataka Minister Priyank Kharge said state employees are bound by state-specific rules that bar participation in politically aligned events. And so he says the centre's rule doesn't apply to states. Now, Priyank Kharge refers to Rule 5.1 of the Karnataka Civil Services Conduct Rules of 2021. What does this say? It prohibits government servants from associating with any political party or organization involved in politics. And the Congress maintains RSS is a political organization.
I'm not asking to make any new rules. There are already service conduct rules of the government of Karnataka. I'm just asking them to follow it. The officers seem to have forgotten their duty towards the government, their duty towards the people, and they seem to be behaving like free radicals. And they need to be reined in as per the laws that rules that they have signed up for. If they are interested, let them seek voluntary resignation and do what they want.
Previously too, you've had Kharge seeking a ban on RSS activities in government schools, colleges, in state-owned temples, alleging it was brainwashing young minds. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has said that there could be some look into whether there's a need for such a ban or not.
RSSನವರು ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಜಾಗಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ಕೊತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಚೀಫ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿಗೆ ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನೋಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
The debate over government employees joining RSS activities highlights really the political divide over its identity, cultural or political. While the centre's 2024 decision lifting the ban does mark a key policy shift, there are states like Karnataka who maintain restrictions citing their own service rules. The tussle, therefore, between administrative neutrality and freedom of association continues. Delhi's latest weapon to combat pollution, it's artificial rain. Let's tell you how it works. Artificial rain, which is also called cloud seeding, is a weather modification technique used to stimulate rain from dry clouds. It's like playing God. Artificial rain works by introducing certain substances into clouds that encourage water droplets to form and grow large enough to fall as precipitation. So here's how it's done. First, authorities ensure there's adequate cloud formation. Aircraft or rockets then disperse substances into the cloud. This could be silver iodide or potassium iodide, which helps form ice in the clouds. Sometimes dry ice is used since it cools the surrounding air, or even salt particles which help form water in tropical regions. Considering India is a tropical zone, for Delhi's cloud seeding, a scientifically formulated mix of silver iodide nanoparticles, iodized salt and rock salt is being used. After these water droplets are formed, and voila, we have rain. Countries like China, America, UAE regularly use cloud seeding, by the way, to ensure adequate rainfall. China, for example, does it for battling pollution like what they're planning in Delhi. So it's been effective in improving air quality, but there's also a challenge as far as India goes in ensuring adequate cloud cover for artificial rain. Because let's be clear, without clouds, there's no way they can actually build rain. Previously in India, many states have attempted, some successfully, to do cloud seeding. States like Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan have attempted to create rain largely to deal with drought conditions. States like Rajasthan struggled because of a lack of clouds. Even in Delhi, experts warn that during peak pollution season, that's usually in winter, the possibility of finding clouds for artificial rain could be difficult. There's a rather high-profile and very public feud playing out over the inheritance of Sanjay Kapoor. Sanjay Kapoor's net worth was over 30,000 crores as a businessman and chairman of automotive components company Sona Comstar. Sanjay Kapoor died on June 12th after collapsing during a polo match in England. Initial reports from the time of his death, though later contested by eyewitnesses, speculated the cause was shock from swallowing a bee mid-game. But sources closer to the family indicated a fatal heart attack. But right after Sanjay's death, an ugly dispute over his inheritance and his will broke out, one that's now playing out in the courts as well. Before I tell you about that, let me first break down the Kapoor family tree because it's integral to what's happening now. Sanjay Kapoor's first wife was designer Nandita Mehtani. After their divorce, he was married to actor Karishma Kapoor. They were married for 13 years till 2016, and Karishma retained custody of their 2 children. A year later, Sanjay Kapoor remarried to Priya Sachdev. Now, after his sudden demise, Sanjay Kapoor's will stated that all his belongings be handed over to his wife, Priya Sachdev Kapoor. It completely excluded his children from his second marriage to Karishma, or for that matter, his own siblings and mother. So let's now take this one allegation at a time. First, Sanjay Kapoor's mother, Rani Kapoor, who's questioned her son's sudden death, essentially alleging foul play. But UK investigators ruled that out. Rani Kapoor has taken on Sanjay's wife, Priya Sachdev Kapoor, alleging that she was excluded from key decisions in the company after Sanjay's death and that people claiming to represent the Kapoor family were being installed without her consent. Rani Kapoor alleges that significant assets of her son are being sold or otherwise dealt without her knowledge, leaving her with little or no financial means. Then there's Karishma's 2 children, Samaira and Kian, who've moved court against the will. Their petition states that the will is forged and they've sought to be declared the legal heirs of the inheritance. They also want a 1/5 share, essentially evenly split among 5 presumed heirs of children, wife and other family members. They have also, in that petition, sought a freeze on assets till the court ruling emerges. So what does Sanjay's wife, Priya Kapoor, have to say about all the allegations? Well, in court, her defense remains that the will is valid and duly signed. She says the children were aware of the will and that she is his legal spouse and therefore rightful inheritor. The court battle continues, but this family feud is turned into a rather public battle for power, money and more. Saudi Arabia has successfully abolished its decades-old Kafala system, and this landmark decision marks a historic step towards labor welfare and workers' rights across the kingdom. The move aligns with one of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030, which aims to modernize the economy and enhance global competitiveness. Now, this is of particular significance to India because the reform is expected to impact nearly 13 million migrant workers, and that includes more than 2.5 million Indians who form a massive chunk of the Saudi workforce. So what exactly was this regressive system that turned so many Indians literally into slaves? Kafala translates to sponsorship in Arabic and defines the power dynamic between foreign employees and their employers. It was something that was developed in the 1950s. The system tied a migrant worker's legal residency and employee status directly to their employer or sponsor, and that sponsor is called a kafil. This gave employers excessive control, including the power to decide if workers could actually change jobs, if they could leave the country, or even file complaints, legal complaints. Over time, for obvious reasons, the system became a tool of exploitation and of abuse. Employers often confiscated passports, delayed wages, restricted movement, and denied the right to change jobs, and there was no action that was possible against them. There were many international organizations, including the Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, that labeled this as a form of modern-day slavery. The impact was particularly harsh on domestic workers, many of whom faced overwork, emotional and even physical abuse, and months without pay, and there was nothing they could do about it, not even leave or change jobs. And that's why this change is so important. Saudi Arabia relies heavily on foreign labor, with an estimated 13.4 million migrant workers employed in sectors such as construction, hospitality, and domestic work. A large portion of these workers come from India, from Bangladesh, the Philippines, and Nepal. Now, the International Labour Organization and several rights groups have long urged Saudi to reform the kafala system. And now, by abolishing it, Saudi Arabia aims to improve its international image as a fair and ethical employer in line with global labour standards. This reform is also expected to make Saudi Arabia more attractive for foreign investment and therefore encourage the inflow of skilled labour essential for its goals. So now what changes? Under the new contract-based employment framework, workers can change jobs without needing their employer's permission. They can exit the country without requiring an exit visa or, for that matter, sponsor consent, which was the need earlier. They can also get access to courts and legal protection more freely to seek justice if there's any case of workplace abuse or dispute. So it's complete opposite of what existed previously. Now, while this reform represents a significant step forward, experts note that obviously implementation will take time and abuse is not going to disappear overnight. Critics argue that domestic workers remain vulnerable as recruitment-related exploitation and informal employment practices often fall outside the scope of labour law reforms. In a sense, Saudi Arabia's decision marks a turning point in labour rights for millions of migrant workers. But there are other Gulf nations which still practice this modern-day slavery. The kafala system is still active across the Gulf, including the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman, and in places like Lebanon and Jordan in slightly tweaked forms. Another massive robbery has shaken the world's largest museum, and this time the damage is enormous. So what exactly happened on October 19th at the iconic Louvre Museum, and were some of these jewels actually from India? Let's begin by telling you exactly how this heist was pulled off. On October 19th, in broad daylight, thieves broke into the Apollo Gallery inside the Louvre Museum in Paris, home to France's royal jewels. Using a truck-mounted ladder, they accessed an upper-floor window, employed power tools and angle grinders to shatter the glass display cases. And this entire heist was shockingly swift. Reports suggest that it just about took the burglars about 4 to 7 minutes to grab the jewels and flee the scene on motorbikes. According to Paris prosecutors, the stolen items are valued at around 88 million euros. So what exactly was taken from the museum? The stolen items hold immense heritage and historical significance, besides, of course, costing a bomb. It traces back to France's royal lineage. Among the goods that were stolen were a tiara once owned by Queen Marie-Amélie and Queen Hortense, both part of France's 19th century monarchy, an emerald necklace and matching earrings, part of a set gifted by Napoleon I to his second wife, Empress Marie-Louise in 1810. A brooch belonging to Empress Eugenie, adorned with over 90 diamonds. Then a large bodice knot brooch, also once worn by Empress Eugenie. The crown of Empress Eugenie, made of gold, emeralds and diamonds, was targeted but later found near the museum, reportedly dropped during the thieves' escape. Now, interestingly, the emerald necklace and earrings that were stolen also have an Indian connect. While the emeralds are of European origin, the diamonds set alongside them were sourced from India, as India then was a significant supplier of diamonds. This was during the 18th and 19th century. Similarly, the tiara owned by Queen Marie-Amélie also has diamonds sourced from India. But what's baffled investigators is how the thieves didn't steal one massive diamond worth an estimated $60 million. It was left untouched in its case. And this is a diamond from India that's said to be cursed. For centuries, the Regent diamond has carried a reputation of being cursed. According to legend, the diamond was discovered in India in 1701 by an enslaved man who tried to flee with the gem. He was killed by a sea captain who had promised to help him escape, and the diamond was soon on its way through Europe's royal courts, leaving a trail of misfortune in its wake. Now, this diamond reached England, where it was cut into smaller stones. Louis XVI used one piece. It was also used in Marie Antoinette's hat. And mind you, both were executed during the French Revolution, the diamond stolen. Years later, it was found in a Paris attic and then found its way to Napoleon Bonaparte, who got it mounted onto his sword, and Napoleon died in exile. The Regent diamond, therefore, seemed to carry tragedy wherever it went, and that's why it's considered to be cursed. While the thieves are yet to be identified, it seems that maybe they were a tad superstitious and chose to spare the Indian cursed diamond.
महिलाओं के रोजगार के लिए नई योजना मुख्यमंत्री महिला रोजगार योजना शुरू की गई है, जिसमें हर घर की एक महिला को रोजगार शुरू करने के लिए 10,000 रुपए की राशि दी जा रही है।
जिन परिवारों के पास सरकारी नौकरियां नहीं हैं, उन परिवारों में एक सरकारी नौकरी हमारी सरकार बनने पर दी जाएगी।
It's election season in Bihar, and the focus is once again on Revdi culture or Freebie culture, with a series of announcements being made by both political sides. Let's therefore decode for you the history of Freebie culture and if this kind of politics hurts the country's economy. Freebies. The practice of handing out doles to people has become a practice, a norm, a part and parcel every election season. So let's tell you how this started and how it's become intrinsic to Indian politics. First, let's start with the basics. What does the term freebie actually mean? Essentially, that something is being given free of cost. I'm sure you've heard the word Revdi a lot before, and if you're wondering what it is, it's the Hindi word for freebies. But it's important here to make a distinction between the types of freebies, between welfareism and a freebie. So what's the difference? I'll highlight it using examples. Now, promising free education, offering midday meals, that's a welfare scheme, that's welfareism being pushed. Giving free cycles, TVs, mixers, grinders, those are all outright freebies. So let's now talk about the history of freebies in India, for which we have to go back in time to the 1950s. It was in Tamil Nadu first that we saw freebies actually taking root. K. Kamaraj, then Chief Minister of erstwhile Madras State, introduced SOPs like free education and free meals for school students. And then every leader in Tamil Nadu followed suit, upping the ante essentially also on these kind of promises and schemes. In 1977, Dr. MGR, as Chief Minister, used midday meals to attract more children to school. And to date, the scheme is active in Tamil Nadu and, of course, has been emulated by almost every state in the country today. But it was also Tamil Nadu that moved beyond welfareism. Free TVs, mobiles, cycles, grinders, mixies, you name it, it was offered in party manifestos and has become a part and parcel of Dravidian politics. It's worked in wooing voters, but the welfare schemes also that Tamil Nadu parties focus on have helped in ensuring that the economy of Tamil Nadu isn't dented. And it was bound to become a national talking point as well, because regional parties, most of them now offer freebies. I'll give you a few examples. Naveen Patnaik's 1 rupee per kilo rice scheme in Odisha, Nitish Kumar's free bicycle scheme for school-going girls in Bihar, Jay Lalita's distribution of 8-gram gold for brides, Mamata Banerjee's cash incentives for girls and health insurance scheme in West Bengal, subsidized food grains by Yogi Adityanath in Uttar Pradesh, and then in Delhi, free electricity, water from Arvind Kejriwal's government. The AAP, interestingly, in 2015, when it came to power with a promise of free water and free power, cracked that code of freebies. And since then, every party has attempted to emulate the model to woo voters in state polls and in national polls too. For example, the Congress's 5 guarantees that it promises in every state. The BJP has claimed that they're against freebie politics. Prime Minister Modi has repeatedly spoken out against this freebie culture and has said it's dangerous for the country. But now, looking at the BJP's manifestos in, let's say, Haryana or Jharkhand, the BJP essentially has modeled freebies as welfareism, but has also promised doles to vote banks. So let's ask the crucial question here. Who pays for these freebies? Well, the answer to that is simple. You do. It is unfortunately the state exchequer that pays for freebies, and in states where the economy can handle it, it doesn't feel a pinch, there isn't a dent. It's a whole other story, however, when states are already financially crippled. The cost of these freebies for some states is estimated to be as high as 96,000 crore rupees, or 2.2% of a state's GDP. Let's take a look at some of these examples. Freebies or subsidies in Maharashtra could cost the state up to 960 billion rupees, or about 2.2% of the GDP in the state. In Karnataka, it's about 1.9% of the state GDP. Telangana, it's about 352 billion rupees, roughly 2.2% of the GDP of the state. But what do all these numbers mean? Essentially, that there's very little room for development. In Karnataka, the Congress government has admitted repeatedly that they have no money for development because they have to fulfill their guarantees, and therefore they've hiked up prices of essentials. What that means effectively is that you're actually paying for these so-called freebies one way or another. Let me highlight here what the Supreme Court said on December 9th, 2024 on freebies, and I'm quoting here. For how long can freebies be given? Why don't we work to create job opportunities, employment, and capacity building for these migrant workers? Now, there have been multiple petitions before the Supreme Court. They exist even now, seeking restrictions on freebies. And the top court in the past repeatedly has put the onus on the Election Commission. The EC on its part has said it's impossible to curb what parties mentioned in their manifesto, but has issued guidelines. So under its MCC, which is Model Code of Conduct Guidelines, the Election Commission has said, and I quote, "In the interest of transparency, level playing field, and credibility of promises, it's expected that manifestos also reflect the rationale for the promises and broadly indicate the ways and means to meet the financial requirements for it. Trust of voters should be sought only on those promises which are possible to be fulfilled." But is the above followed? Not really, as political parties have never actually disclosed the cost of freebies they promise or the repercussion it has on the state economy. That's all we have time for in this edition of India Today Explains. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll join you same time next week.